Okay, Charles Moscowitz here. My guest is Marine veteran Rick Ferran. Rick, thanks for joining me this afternoon.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Rick, before we get into the story of your business and Facebook and everything that's transpired there, talk a little bit about your background, talk about your service, and thank you for your service. Certainly, I thank you as an American. What brought you to this point?
Well, I lived 13 years in communism in Cuba and came to this country in 1988 legally. My grandfathers were American citizens and they applied for visas for my family. So we came here legally. Nah, we didn't win the lottery. We
Right.
came here through legal ports of entry. And then at the age of 17, I joined the Marine Corps and became a United States Marine. So the communism experience that I have had to deal with 13 years made me. I mean, one of the reasons why I wanted to become a Marine is when I left, when I was leaving Cuba, we stopped at the American embassy and there was a Marine standing in front of it and guarding it. And I looked at my father and I said, can I be a Marine? Can I be him when I get to America? And he looked at me. He goes, "You can be whatever you want. You can be anybody you want." And I couldn't wait till I graduated high school to uh, to join the Marines. So it was a great privilege for the United States to give a legal immigrant an opportunity to become one of the few, the proud. So that's something always going to be is going to be always be part of me. Also, I got family members who are also part of the same family of the Marine Corps Brotherhood. They also my uncle was also Marine. I got cousins who were Marines, so we have kind of like a family tradition of being in the military, serving our nation. My father had a good idea in regards to give back, give back to this country something, and there's nothing more than joining the military and serving this country in that aspect.
Now, what were the circumstances of your getting out of communist Cuba?
Oh, very very difficult. I mean, from the time that my father decided, the time it was public that he wanted to come to the United States, where he wanted to bring the family to the United States. It was already known around the province. They knew who and when they were leaving, etc. So they made our life a living hell. Uh, they jumped my father several times. They almost killed him a couple times. My mom, they did the same thing. They came to our houses and did a repudio, what they call a repudio, which is they
Mhm.
go to your house, kind of like what Antifa does today, and they go to somebody's house and they throw obscenities, throw things at your house, um, and they harass you and discriminate against you because you have a different view or because you wanted to leave the country.
And this was actually a government sanctioned thing. I mean, in this country, this is happening, but it's not officially sanctioned. Now, one of the sort of slightly humorous observations that you make in your article is something that I related to when you said that you had heard in this country, school children being taught to sing songs about Obama when he was first elected, and this reminded you of communism in Cuba. Because I mean, I remember the same thing. My own daughter was in school I think at first or second grade, and she had a very left wing teacher who was doing the same sort of thing. They were singing songs about Obama. They were keeping a diary on every day of Obama, day 3, day 4. And it was so like, utopian and very authoritarian. It's not the kind of thing that Americans are really used to seeing in terms of like hero worship of our leaders. And Obama had that quality. I mean, he was very demagogic in his language. Now, I'm not here to talk about his administration. There was good and bad, but the point is that there was a cult-like personality thing with him that was really not consonant with American traditions at all. And you noticed this as an outsider coming in because it reminded you of a communist nation where you have an official cult that's actually part of the government itself. You know, the hero of the masses, the leader is worshipped instead of God. So let's bring it up to your Marine service. Your nickname is Tank. You've done interviews. Talk a little bit about that.
Where should I start? Well, when I left the Marine Corps, um, got into the executive recruiting field, worked in the corporate world for a while, and then Obama happened. That's when, kind of like you said, I saw things moving in a different direction in regards to the push for socialism. I was going through college at the time, and I started seeing some of the propaganda or the you know sort of brainwashing that was being pushed because by liberal professors or individuals that supported socialism in some way or form were asking students to buy their books and write essays about a particular topic, bias to that topic without no additional outside influence and experiences. So I started waking up. I started realizing, man, I want to tell the world, or tell the American people what is the evil that we called socialism or communism. I mean, one cannot live without the other, and so I begin to express my views on social media, try to use social media as a weapon to against these views, and I created Uncle Sammy's Guided Children. Now, Uncle Sammy's Guided Children, the nickname is a United States Marines nickname.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I use that is because the Marine Corps, I love history, and the Marine Corps has a long history of fighting communism and fascism. We have a long history of fighting radical Islamists as well. So if you look at the history of why the Continental Marines was created, we were created to fight the radical pirates, radical Muslim pirates.
That's right. And the Barbary pirates,
Right.
the shores of Tripoli. Tripoli is
Right.
in Libya. So,
right. And the
yeah,
Gadsden
good
flag,
point.
the Gadsden flag, good example too. A Gadsden flag was our first battle flag. So nowadays is sort of kind of a patriotic idea of supporting your right to bear arms. But the Gadsden flag, the battle flag of the Don't
Mhm.
Threaten Me, was the first battle flag of the Continental Marines. It was used for on the drums. So there's a long history, and I decided that maybe with that, I will create some type of unity on the idea that we're all children of Uncle Sam's, and some of us are a little bit more misguided than others, and then create that sentiment and push my views, which are in fact biased. I am biased.
Of
My
course,
views
we
are
all are.
biased. Right?
Yeah.
So that when I created that, we blew up. I mean, our page went to 614,000 followers on
Wow.
Facebook in like 3 months. It was, I mean, we had Congress people from House sitting in Texas sharing our memes, and they were getting in trouble. It was coming out on Washington Post. Now our some of these folks were liberals and the Democrats were having they were triggered by the idea that these folks were sharing gun control memes, gun right memes, et cetera, et cetera. So anyways, we had a lot. It was all organic. Here's another thing. It was organic following. So
Mhm.
no money spent to grow that following. It was actual people that was supporting the message from all walks of life, all races and branches of the military. And then Facebook decided around 2011 to take us down. It took us down for the first time, and they said
Now,
that
can you get specific about this? Because you said you had 500,000 followers around that. And I just, before we go to that, I just want to ask you a technical question here
yeah.
because my Facebook page, I have 5,000 followers, and I've been told that I cannot accept any more than that. How do you do that? I mean, how do
Yeah,
you?
yeah. You have a personal. You have a personal page.
Right.
Inside a personal page, you have the ability to create a public figure page,
Yeah, but
and
you see, Facebook won't let me do that. I've tried to do it. I've followed the
oh
instructions, I'm not, when it comes to technical,
Right.
I'm really all thumbs.
Yeah.
I'm not great, but there seems to be some. Maybe it's me or maybe it's them. I don't know. But I maybe we should have that talk at a separate
Yeah.
time.
Separate time.
But
I can walk you
I
through
get
it.
a lot of people asking, and I can't accept them because I can't. I've been capped.
Right.
But anyway, so why did they tell you they took down your page? Here you have 500,000 followers. You're
600.
selling
600.
products. You did
Yep.
600, yeah, 600,000.
614.
You've developed a line of products and clothing and hats and logos and whatnot, and you're in business. And all of a sudden, they're pulling the plug. What was their justification for that?
Well, they gave us various excuses. One of the excuses first was we were posting porn. And I said, okay, well, show me where we post porn because we have never posted porn.
Right.
And they couldn't find that, and this is the time where Sports Illustrated, the magazine Sports Illustrated with the hot, they were actually posting soft porn on Facebook. So I asked them, show me proof. They couldn't find that. They couldn't find that. So they said, well, you use the word cracker. And the content in the content that I used, the word cracker was used as a quote. It was a quote from the girlfriend of Martin, the guy who got shot here by Zimmerman, got shot here in Florida. His girlfriend quoted her boyfriend by saying that these filthy cracker or something like that, or something to that effect with the word of cracker. We were quoting her and posted her picture with her quote. We were not promoting any type of racism whatsoever, but Facebook was just trying to find an excuse. Now here's a funny thing.
It's just, let me interject here. It's kind of interesting that they would pick on that because I think the word cracker is a colloquial for white guy.
Right.
I mean, since when are they worried about
discrimination
against white folk? That kind of runs against the politically correct agenda.
Right. So then I said that. Well, then they came back later and said, well, you were posting Nazi stuff. And here's the content they're talking about. The content they're talking about is when I posted images of Hitler and the connection between Hitler and the Muslim Brotherhood.
Okay.
So I posted those images and I explained.
It wasn't because you were. Look, I mean, I'm the author of a book called The Nazi Connection of Islamic Terrorism. I don't know if I could post that now, even though it was published by World Net Daily, because of the present atmosphere. It's not like you're praising Hitler. It's quite the opposite. You were trying to you were criticizing a movement that you saw as analogous to the Nazi movement.
Charles, we are very pro-Israel. The community of Uncle Sam's got children are very much pro-Israel, pro-IDF, pro-Jews, and we fight against Semitic people. We fight against these folks every single day. So when they said that to me, it was offensive to that idea because I was like, no, show me. And then I explained to them that we posted that to show the connection of Hitler's love for the Muslim Brotherhood and the founding of the Muslim Brotherhood. So then when they couldn't find anything, then they came back and said, okay, we will republish your page, but it'll be around December. And we waited months. We had to start a new page during this time, to show, to have a new place because we couldn't wait till then. And around December, they brought us back around 9 o'clock to take us back down completely around 1 o'clock. Completely. Who took the group that took credit for taking us down was Occupy Democrat. They actually posted on Occupy Democrat page and said they took credit for it and they were glad.
So they were bragging about it. This is there are these collection of very leftist authoritarian groups that are really moving in on censorship in the media. There are Jewish groups, there are Muslim groups, there are leftist groups in the Occupy constellation, there are gay groups. And they seem to work in tandem. They seem to it's like intersectionality. They help each other censor shows that they don't like.
Yeah, and they're all funded by all well funded by different organizations, but mostly well funded by George Soros. I mean, George
Yep.
Soros has his tentacles all in those
His name does
locations.
pop up a lot around this stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah, to create havoc, to create chaos, to divide and conquer. The idea is
Yeah.
divide and conquer. The American dream is provided by one idea on a unity between us, between the American people, the melting pot coming together and building this American dream. They don't want that idea, so they have to divide it, in sections and make it so where the words "you're racist," because of your views, you're racist, and and you should be
Right, right.
outcasted.
In other words, and also George, you can't criticize George Soros because they'll say that you're anti-Semitic, putting aside the fact that he'd been a Nazi collaborator as a
Right,
teenager.
right.
But yeah, the race card is one that has been weaponized to the extent that they're going to hold up a microscope and try to find a racist gene. It's gotten to be so ridiculous that somebody who had candy canes in school was seen as somehow a symbol of racism. I mean, it's
Milk,
uh it's the
milk.
most
You
milk.
remember the whole
Why
story
is
about
milk
milk?
racist? No, what
Yeah,
happened with
remember the story about milk? They were saying that white milk was racist.
because it's white?
Yeah, white milk is racist. What else they were talking about? Black Friday. Black Friday is racist, man.
Because it uses the word black.
Yeah,
This is there was a professor at Harvard, Charles Pierce, in the 1980s, who patented this whole idea of aggression theory. I think he was a sociologist, and the idea that your actions may not be conscious, but they're still racist because we think they're racist. And they use this weapon. I mean, it's the most totalitarian thing you can imagine. I don't think there's anything more controlling. And they use this weapon against obviously their own enemies. Anybody that doesn't genuflect to the left can be analyzed like this. They're going to pull out a microscope and say, you're racist because you moved your hand this way and not that way, and this is your cerebellum is working this way, and they're scientizing it, and it's the most controlling thing. I mean, the only plus side to it maybe is the fact that maybe because genuine racism in this country, in fact, has lessened to such an extent that they have to invent it now. But either way, it's one of the ugliest developments and one of the most un-American mindsets that you can imagine. And this is what they were pulling on you.
yeah. The true racism today is racism of free thought, free thinking.
Yeah.
That's the real true
So the true
discrimination
racism
that
today
we
is
have today.
anybody that disagrees with the left. That's
Yeah,
racism.
any free thought. I don't listen. I
Yeah.
don't care. I don't care if you say things that are offensive to me. I believe in your right to say those things, and that's your right.
The American
You know,
way.
it
It's
is your right to say what you think and to be a free thinker. If those views goes against my views, well, that's my own prerogative and my own take. It's not we're not gonna bring you home for dinner. I'm not gonna have you eat at my table, but I like to know what you're thinking. I like to know, and then maybe possibly we can have a mutual debate. We might not agree, we might not even come to terms, but we can have a debate about
yes.
those issues where it's just one closure and it's one type of thinking, one type of thought. Then we have a slave thought mentality, and that's what they're actually trying to create. You
Yeah,
know,
and they're terrorizing everyone else. You're frightened to walk around and say anything or even think anything. And they're doing it to themselves. I've talked to people about this that they're afraid that they might be involved, and it's really terroristic in nature. It's just so authoritarian that they would try to impose this scientized control. When you get down to it, it comes down to mind control. So, anyways, Rick, you had a business that you invested your time, your sweat equity, your capital, your work. You put posts up. You were connecting with hundreds of thousands of people. You were connecting with other veterans, other Marine veterans, many of whom, by the way, are men of color. It's not a race thing. And yet you were persecuted by Facebook, And where are you now? What's happening with your Facebook situation?
Well, they're not gonna give us back. I mean, we're blacklisted. I'm blacklisted. I'm completely shadow banned, blacklisted on Google. We're blacklisted. Uncle Sammy's Got a Children's blacklisted. And you know, both sides. I don't just blame the Democrats and I blame both sides. I blame the
Oh
conservative
yeah,
side
no, absolutely. This
for
isn't
the
even
push.
a partisan
Yeah,
thing.
for the push for political correctness has been on both sides. You know, one way or another. So, you know, eventually they'll come for all of us. But I have, you know, the walls are closing in. I'm not giving up though. I'm not going to give up. I have too much experience under my belt, and we have too many Uncle Sammy's Got a Children. When they took us down around midterms, we had grown to 2 million. When they took us down in 2011, they took us down again at 500,000 in 2013, right before 2014 elections, and
Mm.
you know, one of the reasons was we were one of the first to have internet radio shows. I interviewed Tonto. I interviewed Dinesh Souza. I was promoting Dinesh Souza's documentary. I was trying to get people awareness of that, and we had a lot of when I mean power on social media when it comes to our organic support. And again, they took us down and right before elections, we just, you know, peculiar to that. And three more times after that, a guy named Chuck Rosie came in the picture. You can Google him. He was the Black Sheep of Forbes magazine. Chuck Rosie, Rossi. And Forbes magazine made an article about him, calling him the Black Sheep of Facebook. You know, a gun owner, loves gun training, gun tactical training. He looked at my case. He was the vice president of data encoding for Facebook. He was the man in charge of approving all the updates that you will get on your apps, etc. And
Mhm.
he is, and Facebook was completely afraid of this guy. He had the only unlike button on Facebook. He was the only guy with unlike button, and still today the only guy unlike button on Facebook. Um, but so he looked at my case. I was able to somehow, you know, getting his radar. Looked at my case and brought back my last pages. Saw that there was no issue with them, and brought my last pages, not the first one, not the original, but the last pages, and I was able to combine them to build about around 500,000, 600,000 followers. When that happened, and I was left alone for over a year, we were able to get to 2,260,000. And last year, right before midterms elections, they took us down right before November during the big purge. They
Mm.
called Facebook called us Russian bot. I am the only guy who managed the page, was the only guy managing the page or posting on the page. And I am here, Sarasota, Florida, living in Florida for
Mhm.
since I got from Cuba. I am no Russian, and I'm no bot.
Right.
All done manually. So that's what they said, and they took us down along with Brian College, the triple amputee who build the wall foundation to build the wall right now. They took us down along with him and a bunch of hundreds of others. Um, we built it again. In a month time, we had about 300,000, and Facebook did another purge, and they called me white supremacist.
Oh
And
my
and
God.
so
Yeah, I
I
was
mean, you
waiting for
know,
that one.
yeah, I mean, so I mean, I'm a Latino brown. I'm a
You're
brown
not even white,
Latino
exactly.
guy coming from an island. I got African roots. You know, my mom.
Of
You go
course.
to my mom's house. She's got a voodoo station in the corner. All right. I got more African roots than you can phantom, and I'm being called a white supremacist. As a matter of fact, I took on the call to try to call the KKK here locally to see if they will take me in, and they say we don't take Latino brown people. So I don't know where where they get these ideas, and I'm
Right.
joking about that, but
I
but
understand.
um but it's the fact that it's just gone so extreme, so out of control of this idea of racist, extreme, or whatever. There's not a racist bone in my body. Um, my favorite singer is Celia Cruz. I am a Latino man. I love soul food. I love salsa, merengue. My roots. So just because I have a conservative view, I have founding fathers, freedom and liberty view about what our country should be. That's what I'm being targeted for.
Yeah, clearly, and I mean this whole race thing is, as we were saying, it's a damn lie. It is something that, I mean, I don't know how we stand up to that, but that has to be rejected. Those tables have to be turned, or we're not going to have any freedom left. Rick, you have a huge following. I just want to ask you again, get to a technical matter here. Have you been able to preserve that list outside of Facebook somehow and communicate with people because you've got, such a following?
We have some groups left that we're still trying to, but Facebook has made it, not just for me, but has made it so hard, has shadow banned conservatives so hard that conservatives are not even getting notifications on Facebook from the people that they love to hear from or enjoy their posts or their news feed. So out of your, let's say you have 5,000 friends, out of your 5,000 friends, only like 1% to 2% will see your posts on their timeline.
Right. They do stuff. They manipulate the algorithm in such a way.
Right.
In fact, there's Dennis Prager has a lawsuit about this.
Yeah,
Prager University,
yep.
And suddenly his videos were disappearing, and there's no explanation.
Oh, yeah.
And also, even major candidates like Tulsi Gabbard, Democratic for president, all of her social media was shut down right at the moment when she had reached a very important point. She was in the national debate, and suddenly her PayPal account, all coordinated, all shut down, and then turned on later after everything. It's so obvious that they are trying to, and they in many ways are controlling the social media. And I think we all knew it was going to happen.
Hey, have you noticed? Here's the thing. Last year too, and I don't want to cut you off, but since we're talking about those particular topics, have you noticed last year, for example, the last year before the year, for some time, sometimes you ever watched one of those videos, cooking videos, where they're cooking like chicken or whatever, right? Yeah. Those videos are gone on Facebook. They're no longer showing on Facebook as much.
Why? When they got to get chicken?
They used to. PETA has bought a lot of stock.
Oh my God.
This year, PETA bought a lot of stock on Facebook.
So now anything involving meat.
Yeah, anything involving meat these days will get you banned or shadow banned if you're posting anything related to, cooking, poultry, or whatever. So yeah, PETA bought a lot of stock on Facebook. That's one, and the other factors are when you talk about censorship and all these people losing their platforms and whatnot. Anything related to Christianity. There's been some people that have talk about some pastors that have been banned because of for posting verses of the Bible. It's crazy, man.
Oh yeah, no, I mean as I said, these leftist special interest groups, they're not satisfied. Like a group like PETA, they could put together a YouTube channel and talk about the wonders of vegetarianism and condemn meat eating. But that's not what they want to do. They just want to shut everyone down who doesn't agree with them. And it's completely un-American. It is intolerable, and it's just it's wrong. It's it's evil.
When people say that we cannot sue Facebook, Facebook can be sued. Facebook can be sued.
Well,
you just need, anybody can be sued, man. The only problem with the idea, not the problem, but you need people with courage. You need actual people that actually will take a case and personally move forward with it on the idea of we're not going to lose this because we have, we have actual evidence that this particular company has been involved in bad business practices towards a certain group of people, whether it's just, discriminatory of them, but bad practices. If you take my money, if you tell me I can create a business account and then you take my money to grow that business account, and then you come and take that business account from me, right?
Right. No, I mean, the fact that you paid money, that's like buying a piece. It's like, you enter a contract. You've got land. They have to prove why they did this. They can't just simply yank it away. And they should, I mean, it's not an easy thing to go through the court system. But I know of people who are doing this, and I admire that because, while it's difficult and it's long and it might even be expensive, I believe at the end of the day, you're going to get paid and you're going to get paid big because they're wrong to do this. It's de facto censorship. They're
Yeah.
hiding behind being a private company, but they own 98% of the market. So, I mean, and if they're coordinating with others, which seems to be the case,
And
that's a
Charles,
separate issue. It
yeah.
should be investigated by Congress. It should be, fully vetted. It's just a wrong and rotten situation. Now, Rick, have you tried to set up like a YouTube channel, or have you gone to
Yeah,
Vimeo?
we got a YouTube channel. We got about 10,000 subscribers.
Okay,
We
good.
got some ideas in the books. We're gonna be on Oath. I'm gonna have a TV channel, Oath Keepers. Oath Keepers have a TV channel right now. They're looking
Right.
for a space. They're
I
looking
know
for
they've
people
been
to.
kicked around quite a bit, haven't they?
They've been around for quite some time.
Yeah.
Big support of them. They big support of Uncle Sammy's Got Children, and so yeah, we're gonna be hopefully working with
Because I
some.
think that one way to go about it, and my station is pretty small, but yet I've tried to diversify. I had a strike, and I was forbidden to download for several weeks, and so I've kind of spread it out. I go on to Podomatic, and then from there it goes on to iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, all these other servers, and I save everything, and I just try to broaden the reach so that if one gets struck, the other one's still up, and I can still continue. Of course, I know ultimately they can just strike the whole thing, but I don't want to make it that easy.
The idea is create your own content in your own space, like
Yeah.
Alex Jones. I mean, that's what Alex Jones is
Oh
doing.
yeah.
That's
Well,
what
Alex Jones is a great example, but he's got money and he's got resources to do it. Somebody, like I just am a poor schmuck. I can't
yeah.
do that.
But what
But
but the thing that made it successful, think about it, is he created his own space
he
where
did, and he
people.
created his own app, and he's tripled his audience since he's been banned from the social network. So
Right,
yeah, it's a great example. Definitely a pioneer in the freedom of the internet
right.
that should be supported by people of all views, whether you like him or agree with him or
Yeah,
not.
yeah. I don't listen to Alex Jones. I don't
That's
agree
right.
with
It's not a matter of that. It's a
but it
matter of
doesn't matter, right? As long as
yeah, you want to support people's right
right.
to disseminate information and to do so with a certain amount of integrity. He's not calling for violence against the nation. He's not calling for subversion. He's not a revolutionary. He's
Charles, I want to ask you a question, man. When did we lose the idea of accountability and responsibility, right? When did we lost that? When did Facebook came in and said you are not smart enough or adult enough to take accountability for what you see and watch and share? So therefore, they created this idea of like and block or whatever.
Mhm.
Why is it that they created those type of options available for every person, right? So if you don't like something, you can just block it. You can just block it,
Yeah,
unfollow,
you don't have to see
unlike,
it.
right? Those options are there for a reason, right? But now Facebook comes in and says, "Oh, you're not smart enough, or you're not intelligent enough to use those resources or options. We're gonna do it for you. We're gonna do it for you. We're gonna select those for you because you're just too dumb or not smart enough to figure that out. You know?
Well, I mean, I think they started doing it when they reached a tipping point of power. I mean, when this whole thing started back in the late '90s. I think that I and probably most people who are conservatives, we knew that this was coming. It was inevitable that they would have to find a way to control the media. I mean, the whole tenet of socialism, public ownership of the means of communication. That's, public ownership of the mode of production. That's what it is. You can look it up in the dictionary. And the main means of communication now is the social network. So we shouldn't be at all surprised that they're trying to do this. We should assume that they're going to do it from day one and start to develop means to get around that and to keep freedom alive. So, I mean, I don't know what the solution is, but you seem to you've got, you're in the right place there. Um, Rick, give out some information about where you can be reached, how people can reach you, and websites you might want to share.
Right now, we are actually just on the website, UncleSammy'sGuidedChildren.com. And, you can find me some places. We got a group on Facebook group, Uncle Sammy's Guided, so a group, not a page, a group. So, and it's actual Uncle Sammy's Guided Children, full name. There are, since my takedown, since during my period takedown, Charles, one of the biggest things that I had to deal with was copycats. Because of our name brand being popular with a lot of people, I've had a lot of copycats, and there's a lot of copycats trying to steal my brand, trying to steal my name, trying to steal my logo every day. So you actually have to do some hunting to actually find me and find who we are. But just remember, if you don't see my name, Rick Ferran the Tank, or Rick Ferran involved in the admin section or part of the posting section of who we are as a group or anywhere else, then that's not us. There's nothing like who we are as a brand and as a tribe. And I call it a tribe because of who we are. First responders, we got first responders, people from all over the world. All military branches are defended and supported. So it's a great group of brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? Good group of people.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Perfectly appropriate. And
I mean, you are one of us. You're a child of Uncle Sam's, man.
Yeah, of course. And hopefully the ranks will grow. I mean, it's a grassroots thing, and I think that this whole censorship thing is going to get worse before it gets better. I certainly think it's going to get real ugly next year with the re-election of President Trump. Oh, if they're going to start to crack everyone's heads.
They're doing everything right now, man. They're setting up the war zones right now to go after, to go out. Now, Donald Trump is talking about creating his own Trump app. Okay.
Oh, I think that would be amazing. He should have his own TV network. Yeah, I mean that's would be a great example, a great act of a leader. I hope he does it.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, my friend.
Right.
We just got to keep the big fight. A lot of people say, here's the thing too, man, when we talk about those apps, Charles, and here's my take. Even though I've been censored so heavily, okay, I like the idea of having our own little safe space. I'm also a rebel in regards to the idea that here's where they don't want us. Here's where we need to stay. Because here's where we change people's minds, hearts and minds. Is where they don't want us, where they're afraid of us, is where we need to push more of our message, push more of our ideals. They're afraid of us for a reason. They're afraid of us. They're shadow banning us. They're censoring us. When shadow banning is no longer good enough, then what they do is they block you completely.
Yeah. I mean, they're afraid we're going to wake up the beast, and that's exactly what is happening.
We have been doing that.
Oh,
yeah,
we
have been waking up a lot of people.
And it's hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube, so to speak. I mean, right. Anyways, Rick, listen, I want to thank you for joining me today. It's been a pleasure. It was an honor.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's Rick Ferran is my guest, the Latino Marine veteran. Rick, have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care.